Shall we begin? Let's begin now. Let's begin now.
This is not a drill.
Repeat, this is not a drill.
Is that all you got?
Let's begin now.
What up? Oh, for sure.
In my dreams, I walk free in the city streets. 2,500 days plus 50 weeks. Doing hard time for these WikiLeaks. Trying to bring the truth out, man, it only gets you weak. And then they gag you. You don't get to speak. And when you get the leak, they try to hit the leak. The masters of the masses, they want this shit to street. That's why my middle finger's up to these sick elites. Playing on the regular.
You keep the messenger.
Free speech is the freedom of press. Take your deepest, darkest secrets, never leave them unsaid. If I'm a thief, then I'm a thief for the people you dread. The people want the red, while the blue you keep them in bed. See the sheep, keep them asleep, deceiving the weak. Keep seeking the leech till you cease, and I see your defeat. Until I'm deceased underneath a freezer red sheet. Become a dead man, then I hit the switch and release. We're going stacks. We're going stacks. We're going stacks. Is your credit up?
You keep the messenger.
And outside my window a figure quickly creeps. They dark as night like some motherfucking chimney sweeps. Whiskey with my Mickey keeps dying in my kidneys weak. Silence of my risky tweets, what the grand jury seeks. I'm wanting peace like 7 years in Tibet. Now rest in peace like 7 years under threat. Cause I released 7 vaults, they upset. They ended the rape sentence, but the US still insists arrest. I guess it's a sin to take the truth and disseminate. And I'll pay the Gandhi, take him and eliminate. And I don't say I'm great, just wanna say what's fake. But if they kill me, a million others will take my place. The CIA's post like a knife the sharpest. All hypocrisy, lies, and heartless. They want to stop me, my life make my heart quit. Cause democracy dies in the darkness. Cause democracy dies in the darkness. You kill the messenger.
You kill the messenger.
Democracy dies in the darkness.
Darkness.
Hello everybody, how are you? This is the first time I think I've been live on a Tuesday for a few weeks, isn't it? I think so. Yeah, I think it's about three or 4 weeks. Hi everyone in the chat. A few people in the chat. I think Nikki was Nikki, the moderator, my moderator. Thank you very much, Nikki, for all you do. She was talking about the Bilderbergs. I've been watching coverage of that from a great YouTube channel that I was put onto called We Are Change with Luke Rudolsky, I think his name is. I think his name is that. wearechange.org anyway. They're really good. Really, really good. You should watch them. They're excellent. Yeah, that's a little tip for you. That's just somebody that I watch quite a bit actually. There are not too many channels that I do watch now on YouTube. I just don't get time. But yeah, they are great. They really are. Hi everyone. George Galloway voted for the Brexit Party, says Shispurs one. I'll be talking about George Galloway tonight, everyone. To everybody in the chat. We'll be talking about him a little bit. Love you too, horror fan. Thank you very much. That's really nice. That's really nice. Yeah, I'm here. I'm back. Now, this live stream is going to be different. I'm going to be around for actually quite a while tonight. I think over an hour probably, this live stream, because I've got pages and pages and pages of notes to go through that I've got back, because I only got back from London yesterday. So I've been jotting down things on pages, and I thought rather than me do videos and release like 4 or 5 videos, I thought I'll do a live stream and just show you, me going through it live, and if I fuck up then hey, it's live and I'll have to redo it again and re-edit it for when I drop individual videos. B Green, hi mate. Like the goatee and hairstyle, girlfriend having an influence. You're absolutely right, mate. £12. £12 this makeover was, plus tip, and he got a nice tip. He's brilliant. It really is. It's the first time I've had a makeover, I think, in 30 years. It's the one thing since I started this channel. It's the one thing that people have attacked the most. You know, the trolls always pick on something, and people who are complimentary have said, oh, but dude, seriously, change your hairstyle. One guy even said to me last week in the chat, I saw his comments, and it was like, dude, I love your channel, I love your videos, but seriously, your hairstyle looks like you've took an axe to the middle of the head. I thought, okay, but she did have it on a list to take me to the barbers, and because I wanted to get this done. I don't know how to do it, so he did it, and yeah, £12. So thank you to everybody who have said nice things about my new look. Yes, I have a new look, and yes, the girlfriend had a massive influence on it. She was sitting in the corner watching it and looking at the man, and if ever he did something wrong, she looked like she was going to stab him, but thankfully it turned out okay. So yeah, thanks very much for all the people saying you love the new look. I appreciate it. What I will say as well, I think people have noticed I do look healthier, and it's because I quit smoking recently. Last couple of months I've quit smoking. For anybody who has struggled, and honestly, this is from I didn't plan on doing this until like 2 seconds before I came on air. For anybody who has ever struggled with quitting smoking and wants to quit smoking, these things are going to save millions of lives. Millions. They really are. They are amazing. I've got a flavour in there that tastes like Bakewell tartan custard. That's what it tastes like. It's absolutely beautiful. I don't know how much nicotine is in it because I don't actually make the stuff. Somebody else makes it for me, and they're going to drop the nicotine. I think this is going to save millions of lives, and I do hope that one of them was mine, because the way I was smoking, the health benefits that I have seen in the last 2 months from quitting smoking, honestly, it's incredible. I've even started going to the gym and started running on a treadmill and couldn't believe that my legs and my muscles gave out before my lungs did, and that's the first time that's happened in 20 years. So if anybody's struggling to quit smoking, get these with these tops as well. These tops are really very good. Yeah, send me an email at if you want more info of where to go. I can't say enough good things about them. I really can't. So I'm going to take it slow tonight. It's going to be a nice, slow, easy. We're going to have a good time. It's really shit. The news is it's terrible, but we're going to have a good time. So better hang on to your girlfriend. She's adding decades to your life, says Big Green. Yeah, she has, and it's your influence on it as well, everybody. Your influence has really changed it as well, because all of a sudden I've got something to say, and I want as much time as possible to say it in. So I want to thank you for that. Now, I'm back in Wolverhampton just for 2 days, so I'm here today, and I'm going back down to London tomorrow. So while I'm here, I thought I'll do this live stream. I'll get some videos dropping based on, what I record from this live stream tonight, and then I'll be back down to London. What I won't be talking about tonight, though, is this guy here. Let me just disappear. Look at this. Look at this. Look at that man's hair. Look at his hair. I mean, I know I'm not one to talk until recently, but come on, mine was never that bad. But tonight really is a Trump-free zone. I know he's over here, and I know everybody, all the media were going nuts over him today, but I've honestly tried to ignore it as much as possible, just because they're not focusing on what's really important. So tonight's stream, I won't be talking about his visit at all. For anybody who's disappointed with that, it's just the way it is. I'm not going to be talking about that horse and pony show down there. I am not. The really important things won't be talked about, and I will be talk about those in the coming days. The most important thing, I believe, is the investigation into the investigation was started a few weeks ago, and no doubt that's going to be on his agenda, and no doubt they won't talk about that too much in the press. So I will be talking about that over the next few days, but I won't be talking about the frigging blimp. I won't be talking about Based Amy, bless her, stabbing the blimp, and I think she's got arrested. Based Amy is the woman who was in that BBC video that I covered a video on, because she was asking an MP questions. She wasn't accosting him, she was asking an MP questions, and he needed a safe space. Yeah, I think she stabbed the blimp today, and it looks like she's got arrested. So if that's happened, I'll probably cover it in the next few days, but I won't be talking that tonight. I won't be talking about, Corbyn getting shunned by Trump at all. I won't be talking about milkshakes. I won't be talking tonight anyway about Theresa May citing the bombing of Syria as one of the joint things that her and America have done that's great. I kind of think that's going to come back and bite her on the ass, as I will cover briefly tonight. So I won't be talking about that. I won't be talking about any of those nonsense stories with regards to that pomp and ceremony that's going on down there tonight. The important story I will get to over the next coming days, and it's ones that the media they won't be talking about over the next few days. So yeah, I'll get to that. But I'm back in Wolverhampton for 2.5 days before returning to London for probably a week. Well, I'll be covering any events surrounding this guy. The UK has no sovereignty. The UK must resist. Remember, he was shouting as he got dragged out of the embassy a couple of weeks ago, and he's obviously in Supermax prison. That's Julian Assange. I'll be talking about him tonight, that's for sure. And obviously, any trials, any further things that are happening in London, any more protests, that I'll be covering that next week as well. But one of the things I really want to cover next week is this, and that's that's imperialism on trial. Now, this is happening on the 11th of June. Honestly, if you can get down there, please get down there and see this, because it's hosted by Chris Hedges, Pulitzer Prize winning Chris Hedges, who's one of my absolute heroes. I will be definitely going there as somebody who wants a ticket. But I have sent a message to Gregory Sharkey, who is the guy who organised it. Hopefully, I've spoken to a couple of people as well, trying to, do what I can to cover it. I really would like to. So, Gregory, if you are watching, please get back to... I know you've started following me on Twitter. That's a good sign. I'd love to cover this. I really would. I would even live stream it. I'm sure that there would be hundreds of people, many people watching this right now who would say, yes, I will definitely love to do that. Listen, I would love to. I really would. However, I can help out. Not for monetarily thing. I'm not doing it for that. It's literally, it's going to be a message that I approve, rather than going to be a message that I'm going to be amplifying anyway. I'm going to be amplifying it. So if I could have any help from you, or any assistance, or any just, go over here or anything like that, I would really appreciate it. So please reach out to me. This channel, it's not massive, but it's growing and it punches above its weight. It gets lots of videos now, so lots of views. So yeah, I would love to cover this, and I'm growing into this role as sort of a reluctant activist, as was shown last week outside the Westminster Magistrates Court. This picture, by the way, that was on the BBC's website. That was actually on the BBC's website, and this was last week. I'll get to that in a second. Kung Fu Platypus says, you've got to make a mess to tidy a mess. Keep up the hard work, Gordon. Thank you so much, Kung Fu Platypus. Really appreciate that. Imad Orandi says, appreciate your work. Thanks very much for the super chats, guys. Yeah, super chats switched on. I thought I'd switched them off, but they're still on. But great. Okay. Thanks very much. I really appreciate any help. Want to do an update on this, because obviously the proceedings with regards to Julian Assange is sort of all up in the air. Well, we'll get to that in a bit. But first of all, it's great to see everybody down there. last week. It really was. There was a bigger turnout, I felt, than in last, and there were than previous times, and also they were in much bigger voice by the sound of it. People really are getting active, and you know, ringing their MPs and sending letters to their MPs, and it's starting to have an effect. It really is starting to have an effect, but we've got to keep this pressure on. It was great to see everybody down there. You know, Emily and Clara and Kieran and Nina and Cheryl and many others, you know, especially Chris Marsden and Maxine Waters' speech I thought was great. I really did that. I didn't get a chance to listen to it because I was doing other things. I was recording something else at the time when her speech was going on, but thankfully it got recorded, and yeah, it was a great speech. If that's on the channel, please go and check it out now. Excuse me, a bit of a frog in my throat. Yeah, I got upset and I got pissed off at one stage, as people who were there in the chat will testify. I think it worked. I do. I think getting pissed off and shouting and screaming at the media, it had an effect. It really did. It had an effect. That's testament to it. Because although there wasn't massive coverage in the BBC, Guardian, etc., the media over here, with regards to the letters that Julian Assange has written, that I was reading out there, it did get a lot of coverage worldwide. In the Australian press, it got a lot. It got a lot in Spanish press. It got a lot in Russian press as well. It got a lot in German press and in South America. So it really, you know, it's had an effect. It really has. And even though our media, our Mockingbird Bean media, hasn't covered it, but what do you expect? It is having an effect. But you know, if they covered it the right way, I wouldn't have a show. That's the reason why I have a show, is that they're not covering it. So thanks to everybody who supports me, by the way. I can't do it without your support. I know I say that in every video. All the links are down below to my Patreon page, my own website, and details of how you can support me. Every little helps. I want to say that. Thank you to Eileen Bevacqui, $5. Thanks very much, Eileen. No message attached, but thank you. That really will help. Every little helps. I was looking earlier. I'm trying to total it up, and every time I total it up, it's a higher percentage. Something like 70% of all the donations I get are $4 or less per month. Something like 70%. Every dollar, it really does help, obviously, and not just the monetary you know, the likes and the shares. That really helps on the stream, and comments as well. Thanks very much for all your support. I'll be talking about that. Jim Raines, $2 Australian. Thank you very much, Jim. Appreciate it. Just want to make sure that I got everything on that. So, yeah, I want to say a big thank you to all my supporters. I can't do this without your help. I truly appreciate it. And last week's wide coverage has proved, you know, I honestly think we are making a difference. I really do. I think this, you know, it's making a difference, even though it's only a small amount. But if lots of people make small amounts of difference, then it all does add up. Now, as I mentioned I had a bit of a shouting match with a guy from the Press Association and his photographer that was with him down there, because he came up to me and he was saying, "Oh, you had a letter from Julian Assange." It's like, you know, this was a good 3 or 4 days out, or the next week after, and he didn't know, you know. And this is journalism on trial. This is his own profession on trial, and he's not up to date with what's going on with it. So yeah, I was pissed off, and other people were pissed off as well. I wasn't the only one shouting at him, "Do your effing job," you know. Coming up to me, you had a letter. His own profession was about to be put on trial, and he's asking my advice. A guy from a council estate, 120 mile away, who didn't do this up until 18 months ago. You know, there he is. That's his profession, and he doesn't know. And then when I find out that his photographer had a bit of a confrontation with my camera lady, my girlfriend, yeah. I harbour no ill will towards these people. I really don't. But you're not doing yourself any favours. You really aren't. Chris Marsden took me to one side and said, "You've got to be careful with this. I know it's really, you know." He said, "They'll use this," and I know that, you know, they'll use that I've got a bit of a fiery side to me, to try and get me to, you know, walk into a trap and to use something to smear me. But honestly, we've got to tell these bastards to move aside. We've got to tell them to get out the way, because if they can't be the fourth estate, then they need to get the F out the way for people who are willing to actually put their neck on the line and actually stand up for what is meant to be a proud profession, and is actually going to hold power accountable rather than being their PR company. And because this wouldn't be happening. This would not be happening right now. All of this would not be happening if the media hadn't facilitated it for 7 years. If they hadn't cheered it, none of it would be happening. The media create the mood of the masses. They create the mood of the masses. That's what they do. They should be jumping up and screaming about this right now. This is their own profession that's on the line, and they're not. So you have to ask why. And the reason, to me at least, is clear. Julian Assange is the fourth estate. What he's done, you know, he's took the fourth estate, took journalism, moved it into the digital age, and he told us, he told me and us, that we're going to have to take his place until he's free. So that's what I'm doing. And with your help, we can do this. But the bastards at the Press Association who were there, the kids, I harbour you no ill will. I really don't. I realise you're probably in your early 20s, and you've been at college, you've been at university, you've had a very protective life, and seeing somebody from the Midlands coming down and screaming and getting in your face is not nice. But you know what? You've done a really fucking shit job. So get out the way. Okay. So that brings me to the Julian Assange thing, and I want to talk about it because there's two pieces of good news this week. And the first piece of good news with regards to Julian Assange, and honestly, I do not know how long. I really don't. First off, there's no charges for the Vault 7 leak. Now, the Vault 7 leak that WikiLeaks leaked were on March the 7th, 2017, I think it was. For those of you who don't know, the Vault 7 leak basically exposed the CIA, all of the CIA's hacking and malware capabilities. They exposed the fact that they could track you through TVs and they could install malware. It was, you know, TVs, listening devices. It also exposed their ability to use Trojan horses and their ability to fabricate false flag hacks. The sort of which that CrowdStrike found absolutely all fingerprints of all over the DNC servers. Now, one man that was pissed off at the time when the Vault 7 leaks happened, remember this was beginning of March 2017 when Julian Assange still had his communications, was this guy, James Comey. Or Black Rock. Well, thank you for doing this, Patriot Herman. Answers I don't know and I don't recall, and I don't remember 236 times, but somehow remembers enough to write a book. I like that meme, that's why I picked it up. But so James Comey was really pissed off at the time because him and he was FBI director and he was trying to come up with some sort of deal along with I think the Senate were trying to come up with some sort of deal. Well, let me explain. This is in Consortium News. It says, did Senator Warner and Comey collude on Russiagate? Warner's the guy who's really an anti-Assange guy, and I think he was the guy who signed the letter that was putting pressure on Ecuador. He was one of the main senators back then. And it says this article in Consortium News, and this is by a very reputable source around the government. It says this: a deal that was being discussed last year between Assange and the US government officials would have given Assange limited immunity to allow him to leave the Ecuadorian embassy in London, where he has been exiled for 6 years. In exchange, so they're talking about he's talking about, I mean, this is 2018, I think it came out. June 2019. So they're talking about 2017, when James Comey was still the FBI director. A deal that was being discussed last year between Assange and US government officials would have given Assange limited immunity to allow him to leave the Ecuadorian embassy in London, where he has been exiled for 6 years. In exchange, Assange would agree to limit through redactions some classified CIA information where he might release in the future, according to Solomon, who cited interviews and a trove of internal DOJ documents turned over to Senate investigators. Solomon even provided a copy of the draft immunity deal with Assange. So Solomon is this guy who wrote an article for The Hill, who actually did this investigation. And there just seems to be a lot of weight around this. You know, Assange was you know, they really wanted to try and give him some sort of immunity deal to go and get to the bottom of all sorts of different things. But it says here, the Comey's intervention to stop the negotiations with Assange ultimately ruined the deal, Solomon says, quoting multiple sources. With the prospective agreement thrown into serious doubt, Assange then unleashed a series of leaks that US officials say damaged their cyber warfare capabilities for a long time to come. These were the Vault 7 releases, which led to the CIA director Mike Pompeo to call WikiLeaks a hostile intelligence service. So this is what it was all about. They were talking about giving him some sort of immunity. Comey put the kibosh on it, so Assange looks like went, okay, boom, there you go. There's Vault 7 unredacted, a lot of it. It looks like looks like that's what he wanted redacted, or wanted some sort of protection from, these Vault 7 links. It certainly looks like it to me. The timing all adds up. Now, so he's not going to face any. He's not going to face any charges for that. But why would he? But then why would he with the Chelsea Manning thing? You know, but it's curious to me that he's not going to get any charges for the Vault 7 leaks. I mean, those are leaked just the same as the leaks that he had through Chelsea Manning. And no charges are going to be filed through that. You know, it pissed them off. But by the way, CrowdStrike having the fingerprints of those sort of, you know, false flag hacks all over their servers, it really is like, you know, why would they need the CrowdStrike service? Why would they need the DNC service, you know? Why would the FBI need the DNC service if they already knew what was on there and what they would find, eh? Anyway, so this revelation is noteworthy because of the backstory to it, and I wanted to make people aware of that, you know, there was going to be some sort of deal there, and it looks like Comey put the kibosh on it, and that's when Vault 7 was released. You know, giving away all these hacking secrets. This is the, by the way, it's not politically motivated or anything, this isn't, you know, it's not politically motivated. So there's no charges for the Vault 7 leaks, and also the Uppsala court, I think it's Uppsala court, I think that's how you pronounce it, in Sweden. Now, this is the same court which rejected the prosecutor's application for an extension because he couldn't speak to Assange because of his ill health. They have now rejected the request for his European arrest warrant. They've totally rejected it out of hand. Which means he can't be extradited to Sweden. That's what it means. He can't be extradited to Sweden now. Which means this whole charge, the reason that man there right now is spending 50 weeks in a Supermax prison for avoiding, this whole charge wasn't even worthy of a European arrest warrant. The charge, he's spending 50 weeks in a Supermax right now for allegedly skipping bail on a charge that wasn't worth a judge in Sweden thinking, yeah, that's not worth a European arrest warrant. I thought to myself, how common are these European arrest warrants? So I went to Wikipedia. I shit you not, I found this on Wikipedia. European arrest warrants have been issued for minor offences such as possession of 0.45 grams of cannabis, theft of 2 car tyres, driving a car under the influence of alcohol where the limit was not significantly exceeded, and theft of a piglet. They issue European arrest warrants for all of those things, but Assange skipped bail allegedly on something that couldn't even get an arrest warrant when all of those other things could, and he gets 50 weeks in a fucking Supermax prison. I wonder why Assange and supporters of free speech and freedom of the press seem to think that Julian Assange can't get a free trial in this fucking country. I wonder why. I mean, that driving the car under the influence of alcohol, so that's a DUI that wasn't a DUI. An arrest warrant was given to a DUI where he didn't exceed where he wasn't drunk enough. And they gave an arrest warrant for that, but not for Julian Assange, and he skipped bail on that charge and got 50 weeks in Supermax. I'm not sure whether I'm the only person who was actually, connected these two things, but certainly nobody in the fucking mainstream media has. This, of course, the reason why it was dropped was, of course, this rape charge wasn't a charge of rape at all. From what actually I could tell, as I've pointed out in another video, it was essentially consensual sex without a condom, which is, many people have said, consensual sex without a condom. If that's a charge, lots of people are going to go to prison because that's fucking. All of this is good news, isn't it? Right? So they've dropped he can't be extradited to Sweden. So there's no charge there, and no, it's not good because he's still in Supermax prison, he's still in Belmarsh, he's still in the UK's Guantanamo. And the constant reopening and the constant talk of this charge of rape in the media, even though it wasn't rape, it was consensual sex without, i.e. fucking, with somebody who wanted to fuck him. Neither of those women are saying, no, I didn't want to fuck him. No, they wanted to fuck him. Oh, God. But 7 years of it, 7 years of it in the headline has obviously changed the public psyche. It's changed the mood of the masses towards him. If you constantly associate one person with the word rape, guess what? Some of that mud is going to stick. And in 7 years, a lot of it is going to stick. Assange's name has been dragged through the mud for 7 years. It's been dragged through the mud. For 7 years, his name has been smeared. For 7 years, he's been slandered with these lies, with these baseless allegations that are politically motivated. For 7 years, this has happened. By a media baying for his blood, cheering it on. Being mercilessly attacked by them as they cheered on his torture. They cheered on the torture of a publisher of truth. He published the truth and they cheered on the torture of him. You have to ask why. Because all the while they knew his only crime was doing their job better than they ever could. And then once you understand that, then you understand the mentality of the media. Because they really are that disgusting. They really are. And that's what this is all about. It's not about rape. It's about the fourth estate. And it's about how the legacy of media have totally abandoned their duty to it. They have cheered on, and facilitated the torture of a publisher who does their job better than they ever could do. And does their job with a moral compass better than they ever would have. That's why they've done it. Chiefly, that's why they've done it. Closely followed by having no fucking backbone. Because this is a direct attack on journalism, it's a direct attack on a free press, a free speech, and ultimately democracy itself. That's what this is. And I really hope, I really wish that people would just scream that at the media. Will you start framing it like this? This is a direct attack on free speech, on democracy itself. That's what this is. Make no bones about it. And the fact that the media aren't framing it that way just tells you how complicit they are in it. And the fact that I am tells you all you need to know about them. And it highlights again how cowardly they are. In that now they say this is bad. Now they all come out and say, oh, extraditing him is bad. It would be a bad thing. After 7 years of cheering it on. 7 years of facilitating it. 7 years. This would not be happening without them facilitating it. And they've just come out and all of a sudden gone, no, this was bad. No, extraditing him, this would be bad. They haven't fucking once apologised for dragging this guy through hell. They haven't once apologised for them being complicit in the torture of somebody who was not told the fucking a lie. He's told the truth every time. This is why I showed the media down at Westminster Court last week. This is why I showed them no respect whatsoever. They don't deserve it. That's why. Because it's why I told them to move aside, to get out the way. If they had done their job properly for the last 7 years, none of this would be happening right now. None of that would be happening. It's only the media that have facilitated it and allowed it to happen and cheered it on. They are complicit in it, and they've been allowing the torture of one of their own because he does it better than all of them ever have. In 13 years, an average of over 1 million documents a year, with scandals which have rocked the foundations of hundreds of nations around the world. Hundreds, yes, including Israel and China and Russia and all the other countries that you people say, oh yeah, what about... Yes, that country too. For 13 years. And never had to retract a word of it. This David, Julian Assange, he's collapsed corrupt governments. This David in WikiLeaks has collapsed corrupt governments. He's put an end to massive corruption around the world and stood up to Western Goliaths like the American, the biggest of them all, and struck fear into their black, soulless, warmongering hearts to the point where they've had to silence and torture him for fear that he might tell some more truth about them. Not lies, truth. And the media in this country and in America and elsewhere cheered it on. I've said over and over, Julian Assange created the digital fourth estate flawlessly. He moved it into the 21st century. I've said it over and over. And he said to us in letters from the UK's Guantanamo Bay, we need to take his place until he is free. Stand up to those lying bastards in the media. You can help. You really can. If you get active, you watching this now, get involved. Stand up to the lying bastards in the media. Write to them. Tweet at them. Get in their faces and shout at them if you have to. Be polite, be respectful, but get in their faces. Demand that they tell the truth about Assange. Demand that they frame it in the right way. Demand that they actually motivate the masses to care, because they bloody should. Shame them into it. And until that day, until they are finally shamed into it, when, you know, which will probably be the 5th of never, let's face it, because I don't think they have any shame. Until that day, I and other people in independent media will be doing it. Support us. Support independent media. We tell you the truth. And so did Julian Assange. And Chelsea Manning, by the way. And that's what they're in prison for. And that's why these journalists won't bloody do it. They're spineless. Free Julian Assange. And please, tell as many people as you can. Tell people in the street, if you can. Tell people at the shops. Tell your friends why they should care about this man. It really is that important. Hi, everyone. I told you I had a lot to say. Wow, 9:42. Somebody asking about my journalism. Human says, I watch journalist college speakers. It is sad. I bet it is, mate. I bet it is. And Nikki, Gordon is a full-time journalist but didn't study journalism at uni. He does a better job than those that did. Thank you very much, Nikki. Yeah, it's because I'm objective. Yeah, I'm objective. It's very easy to call things out as lies or call things out as nonsense if what you're saying is the truth. I want to talk about something I saw today. This is funny. Oh dear. So this is funny because Change UK. By the way, when I was looking for Change UK, I found this. Cringe UK, the anti-independence group. The only thing will change is our name. Constantly. Parody of a political party. Brexit means Brexit. I love shit like this on Twitter. I absolutely love it. It's so funny. I don't really need to add anything to that, do I? I don't need to. The reason I'm talking about this is because Change UK, you probably haven't heard, but because of all the stuff that's in the media today about Donald Trump. But so Change UK, whose mantra, I've explained their mantra, considering their name is Change UK, is hilarious because it's just stay the same, you know, neoliberal all the way, and nothing changes. But all 11 members of them have now split into two parties. So they're split into two. Now, at this point, I really can't say with any full authority why this has happened, but neither do I care. I really don't. Some say this is because they had those really humiliating EU election results. Some say it's because Heidi Allen had actually said that people should vote Lib Dems if they wanted to vote tactically. And with regards to Chuka Umunna, who is one of the people who left, I assume it's because, Change UK weren't pro-Israel enough. I don't know. Maybe him and Joan Ryan are going to create a more, Israel-friendly party, further right than Change UK. Slightly right of left of neoliberal, whatever that is on the spectrum. Presumably the Chuka Umunna's new party is going to have a logo with I don't know, a blue and white hexagram. That's the sort of guy he is. We know where his loyalties lie. They lie with Israel and the state of Israel. And yes, I can say that. It's not anti-Semitic to say that. We'll get to that in a bit. But I've reconsidered. I've really reconsidered this. Change UK are actually worthy of their name. They are not all about staying the same, because they are, as the Off Guardian pointed out, constantly changing. Look at this. Change UK was just halved overnight. They formed, had a racism scandal, changed their name, doubled in size, changed their name again, had a logo design, been electorally humiliated, and now split apart. All inside a few weeks. It's like House of Cards on fast forward. So yeah, I stand corrected. Yeah, Change UK really is worthy of its name. But now they have, I think, 5 members because 6 have left. They've got 5 members. That's not a political party. That's not even a shit dinner party. That's not even a sex party. Oh, God. A sex party without a Subaru. Perish the thought. Yeah, Change UK. They still suck. And they're still not going to do anything to change your life, that's for sure. Not for the better, anyway. I had to talk about that because it's so funny. Change UK. They're the funny tinge gang. I don't know, Flower Power. The funny tinge. I couldn't even read into it. I mean, I assume Chuka Umunna has gone with Joan Ryan because, you know, those, let's face it, it's Israel through and through. But it's just, they're all at the end of their political careers. But to be fair, I think a lot of politicians down in Westminster right now are at the very end of their political careers. I think a lot of them, if there was another election this year, I think a lot of them would lose their careers. But maybe that's one of the reasons why you can be certain that there won't be an election this year. Maybe that's one of the reasons why. I don't know. I'd personally like to see one, especially with. And there's got to be, hasn't there? They can't have a. We can't just end up with Boris Johnson by default. If we're going to have Boris Johnson, we should at least vote for him. Don't you think? You know, if we're going to have somebody drive the bus off the end of the cliff with $350 million for the NHS, or £350 million for the NHS, or whatever it is, if we're going to have him drive us off the cliff, I really think we should at least vote on whether he gets us to drive us off the cliff. Don't you? But, you know, that's if he wins. I personally, honestly, I said it last week, I think. I don't think he's going to be leader. I don't think he's going to win this. I think it's going to be the one with the ties to MI6 and GCHQ, because that's the way it's going. I'll talk more about it, but I think it's going to be Penny Mordaunt. I really do. If I'm right, then I'm a genius. But if I'm wrong, hey, I took a guess. But an educated one. I need to talk about this story, don't I? Okay, so I've got to talk about this one now. Yeah, nice segue, because only a few minutes ago I was saying how Assange had said that we have to take his place, you know, and that we are the ones that need to hold power accountable because our media aren't doing their jobs. I was only saying that a few minutes ago. Well, here's one guy who certainly is doing his job, and that's this man, Chris Williamson. He said this on Twitter. I was criticised last year by the media and some MPs for opposing the government's decision to bomb targets in Syria. But now we know how inconvenient evidence was redacted from the OPCW's report. So I've asked the Prime Minister to comment. I'm assuming that they're going to try and get the PM to comment before she buggers off in a few days' time, to make all the shit stick to her. So this is all about the leaked OPCW report that suggests the Syria gas attack was staged, which casts even further doubt on the UK government official narrative I've got written down here. Casts even further doubt. Yeah. Like, you know, kills. When I say casts even further doubt, I mean kills it dead. I mean dead, deceased. You know, no chance of survival. No chance of return. Not even Melisandre and Thoros of Myr together can bring it back. I mean, shit, the bloody staged White Helmets video really should be enough. But Chris Williamson, he has done the right thing here. And he's holding government accountable on acts of war and sovereignty, which is, you know, as I said, Derby Chris Williamson has done something the Mockingbird media are too bought off to do. Ask the UK government a serious question, because to my knowledge, none of them have. Certainly not in the public. Brian Whittaker seems to think that he solved it all and there's an explanation for it all. And seems to think that popping up on my mentions is a good idea. Guess what, Brian Whittaker? Go fuck yourself. Seriously, you propagandizing piece of shit. And all of you motherfuckers in the media, honest to God, you have not got a backbone fucking between you. Now, I'm assuming if Alan Duncan answers, I'm assuming it's Alan Duncan that's got to answer, because he's, you know, the defence dickhead, or the guy who is the defence or the dickhead spokesman for the Defence Department. I'm assuming that if he answers Chris Williamson's question, it's going to be punctuated with some put down about him being some sort of, you know, a pound shop communist, like normal, and like normal with Alan Duncan, he's going to be 100% fucking bullshit. Because let's face it, everything the guy says and everything he ever has said is fucking bullshit. Alan Duncan, he once called Julian Assange a miserable little worm. Wow. I won't say that. I won't say what I was going to say there. I'm going to edit this totally. When I drop this video, I won't say what I was going to say. But honestly, it was going to rhyme with Jeremy Hunt. I refrained. Now, everything he says is bullshit and always has been. But I'll be watching. I'm going to be watching this really closely and be watching I'll be watching what the response is, as many others will be watching the response. And it's all thanks to Chris Williamson, this is. He's the one who stood up and put his head down on the block and, you know, said, I'll ask it, which I really do appreciate. And you know you're backing a decent guy if the establishment are trying to silence him, you know. And let's face it, being suspended from the Labour Party at the moment. I'm sorry, Labour Party members, you're going to hate me for saying this, because I know a lot of my support is from Labour supporters, but it seems to me that being suspended from the Labour Party, as Chris Williamson is, you wear it like a fucking badge of honour at the moment. And you're wearing it well at the moment, Chris Williamson. He's standing up for us. And we need to get more MPs too. So, yeah, well done, Chris Williamson. Yes, I did. Yeah, I did mean with the C, guys. Okay, Jim Raines has just said something important. Peter Hitchens has done a good job reporting on that. Yes, he has. Peter Hitchens is one of the few people who has done a good job reporting on it. there was one woman who was written in the Guardian, and I cannot remember her name again, and it's driving me nuts. And there's obviously other great journalists like Sheila Coombs and others, but there are very few in the mainstream who I really do value their opinion anymore. Peter Hitchens is one, which is so weird because he's so wrong on cannabis. He's so wrong. So wrong, honest, so wrong. But he's great on everything else, and I wish we had more people like him. I really do. Yeah. Damn, his parents did a good job. His parents must have done a great job. I will say that. Yes, most things, Cheryl Brandon says, yes, most things. He's terrible, absolutely terrible on cannabis. Right, okay, what's next? Wow. I was just talking about Chris Williamson being suspended over these manufactured anti-Semitism claims against him, or manufactured claims of a pattern of anti-Semitic behaviour claims against him. It's all nonsense, obviously. Chris Williamson, a man who tells uncomfortable truths to power, a man who holds power accountable. Chris Williamson, as I've just shown you, and indeed, a man who's willing to ask them, the difficult questions while standing up for the working man. That Chris Williamson, much like this gentleman, George Galloway. And the reason I'm talking about him is because he has been sacked by, I love this in iNews, Rupert Murdoch's talk radio over an anti-Semitic Spurs tweet. Okay, I think you missed the word allegedly there, iNews, because it wasn't fucking anti-Semitic, assholes, and that's why I picked this up. You mentioned Rupert Murdoch, but then totally screwed it up by missing the apparently or allegedly anti-Semitic Spurs tweet. It would be more accurate to say over manufactured anti-Semitic Spurs tweet. We'll get to it in a second. This makes me angry. It really does. It makes me angry. Because this is all to do with the Tottenham Liverpool Champions League match, which was on last week, on Saturday, whatever it was, and he tweeted this out: congratulations to the great people of Liverpool, because obviously they won the football soccer match, whatever they call it, to the memory of socialist miner congratulations to the great people of Liverpool, to the memory of socialist miner Bill Shankly, to the fallen 96, to those who fought for justice for them, and to the Liverpool Dockers. No Israel flags on the cup. Now, the reason he said that was because the final was between Liverpool and Tottenham, and there were some Israeli flags in the Tottenham end, because apparently Tottenham, there is a large Jewish community that support Tottenham in London. This, I don't know whether that's true. It's just apparently there is. And there were some in Israel flags in the crowd. Now, there were arguments between one person and another. It was all blown up, whatever, hundreds of flags. I don't care. There were flags there. There were Israel flags in the Tottenham end. I saw them myself. I made a comment on them to the people I was watching the match with. Yeah, I watched a football match. It was really crap as well. It was a really crap game. But yes, there were Israeli flags in the crowd. I saw them myself. Now, I don't care how many flags there were. That's by the by, and it's all nonsense, because it is not anti-Semitic to dislike Israel. It's not, despite what they are trying to conflate that with. I'll get to it in a minute, but it's not anti-Semitic. Now, I've pointed this out so many times on my show. I've brought on Pete Gregson, and many people have then called me an anti-Semite for actually bringing on Pete Gregson, who is, you know, so against anti-Semitism. It's incredible. The guy is, you know, he's somebody who rocks the boat on purpose to show how nonsensical it all is. And the fact that people don't support him more, then you need radicals like that. He's not an anti-Semite. But anyway, it's not anti-Semitic to dislike Israel or dislike Israel's policy of apartheid or dislike Israel's policies towards Palestinians. Israel's anti-Semitic policies and anti-Semitic treatment of Palestinians. If you want to talk to me about anti-Semitism with regards to Israel, fine. I'll talk to you all fucking day long. Let's talk to you about the anti-Semitic treatment for the last 70 odd fucking years of the Arabs who are Semites who live in Palestine, shall we? Shall we talk about that fucking anti-Semitic treatment? Because factually, that's fucking right. It's not anti-Semitic to dislike Israel or to dislike the Israeli flag because what that represents to you. Represents their ideology. It's not anti-Semitic to do that. They're obviously conflating the two things here to avoid criticism of their anti-Semitic treatment of Palestinian Arabs. This is all organised. This treatment of him. There's been attacks of him ever since. There's been an internet pylon. I've watched it today. I haven't really got involved in it, but I've watched it over the last 24 hours. I haven't even watched the GMB thing that he was on this morning, just simply because I didn't have time, but I will do. It's an internet pylon. They've been waiting for this to happen. They've been manufacturing it themselves. They've been waiting for it to happen. So they can conflate these two things and do a character assassination of somebody yet again for voicing his free speech and for voicing his own opinion. A character assassination in George Galloway's case, not the first time, of somebody who is telling the truth. It's been amplified by loads of people. Look at this, Prop or Not are amplifying stuff. And Integrity Initiative have been retweeting stuff about Galloway, trying to associate him with Bannon as well, just because he shook the guy's hand. Prop or Not, Jeremy Corbyn is an old school tool of the Soviet Union. His ultimate loyalty remains with Moscow to this day. It's the sort of shit that Prop or Not do, this authority on what is a bot and what isn't, that they used to inflate the Russiagate bollocks. They're all tools. They're all tools. They're all tools of the establishment. This is how they do it, and then the media use them. It's a big circle jerk. They're all jerking each other off and laughing at the dumbasses. It's not even the people's fault they're dumb. It's not. The media and the government and these NGOs, they're all sitting around jerking each other off, having a big circle jerk and laughing at dumbing down the nation. Sadly, it's not just George Galloway they're doing this to, and it's not just happening over here. It's the world over. Germany has condemned the BDS movement as anti-Semitic and likened it to terrifying Nazi campaigns. The boycott, diversion, and sanction of an apartheid state. That's Germany. And it's not just in Germany, it's in America too. I mean, I just picked up, there is any number of them, there really is. There are countless laws trying to get pushed through on the books in America. A spate of local and state laws they're all saying the same thing. They're trying to, condemn BDS. It's happening in this country as well. I get emails from people, I get emails from unions saying the same thing. They're trying desperately to get the BDS movement against Israel conflated with anti-Semitism to quash it. We have to fight against this because it's free speech and it's freedom of speech that is at attack here. And they're all attacking the same sort of people, by the way. And you ask, you have to ask why they are doing this. By the way, you have to ask why are they, defending Israel so much? Why are the UK trying to protect Jews, as people say it is? It's not. It's not protecting Jews. It's not about that. It's not about the UK. The UK government. Let me tell you something. I've had so many people ask me about this and say, "Oh, it's the Jews." It's not. Because with the UK Jews, it's not. No. The UK government doesn't give a shit if you're Jewish. It doesn't. The UK government doesn't give a shit if you're Muslim. The UK government, the UK state doesn't give a shit if you're Buddhist, and it doesn't give a flying fuck if you're Christian or anything. It doesn't care. It doesn't care what colour you are. It's still going to treat you with contempt if you get in its fucking way. Look through history. There's not a people we haven't oppressed. What it does care about, the UK, is keeping whatever control and keeping whatever power and keeping whatever hegemony over the world it has and keeping that in place. That's what it cares about. And what it believes is that a strong Israel helps that. In that a weakened Israel would weaken the UK and weaken its hegemony over the world. And what they say is, okay, fine, we'll turn a blind eye to your horrific war crimes and, your atrocities against the Palestinian people. We won't, after all, we're English. We're the UK, we're British. Have you seen our history, We'll turn a blind eye and we'll sell you our weapons. We'll sell you our weapons as well. As I've explained, billions and billions of dollars in weapons and billions of pounds of weapons contracts going to, Israel and Saudi Arabia as well. And all of this is to stop any brown country in the Middle East from doing well and becoming powerful. It always has been like that. It's a giant game of risk. It's not about the Jews, as people keep saying. Not primarily. There's the Zionists, though, and they're separate. And, the British have said, by the way, big good chaps, and those Zionists, we're hoping, throw some cash our way. And maybe, if we're supporting you, a villa on some stolen Palestinian land. This is why it is. It's not because of this whole big conspiracy and the Jews. No. And they've also, said in return, America gets its 51st state in the Middle East and its staging ground for any war that it's going to do over there to keep hold of its hegemony. And it will go to war to keep hold of its hegemony. Every single superpower in history, every empire in history has gone to war in history if its hegemony and if its power has been questioned and it's about to fall. Every one of them. It's remarkable. It's like clockwork. And it's happening again. And this is why, the UK and the US also say to Israel, the apartheid state of Israel, the occupying force of Israel. Why don't the media just never frame it like that? The occupying force. The occupied people of Palestine. They never call it that. But, you know, this is why they say they'll help you smear, they'll help them smear anybody and tell tales on them for you. And they'll maybe even get them fired from talk radio. Which is what's happened to Judge Galloway today by conflating free speech and truth that highlight war crimes with racism. And this is what's happened now, which is worrying because it's really being ramped up. This is. Anybody who's been paying attention will tell you this is really being ramped up. It's almost as if they're preparing for war. But I've got some bad news for you people, because it's not that we're preparing for war. We're actually already in one. We're in several. We haven't declared war on anybody, but we are, as a country, and the United States are too, and other countries, France, I'm thinking, we are complicit in what's known as hybrid warfare. And now we're getting into a territory that's more grey as to what powers the government has over the military-industrial complex. Because it's serious, this is. And the more I've looked into it, the more I've realised something. They haven't silenced George Galloway, in my opinion, because he stands with the Palestinian people, as I do as well. They haven't silenced him because he does that. They haven't silenced him because he said something nasty about Israel's flag. They certainly haven't silenced him because he's an anti-Semite, because it's not, and what that he said in that tweet, that wasn't anti-Semitic. They haven't silenced him. They haven't silenced him because of any of that. They've silenced him because he's anti-war. And that's what this is all about. It's war. It's called hybrid war, or hybrid warfare, and we're in the middle of it. By the way, Han Dodge's tweeted this out. I can't imagine why the Palestinian people feel so wronged and feel like they're treated so unfairly. I'm sorry about what has happened about George Galloway, I really are, but it's anti-war voices they're going for. It's both sides of the Atlantic. And I'm telling you why. It's hybrid warfare, and we're in the middle of it. Keith Durant, been waiting for this, bro. Yeah, thanks, Keith. Keith has been sending me. I've been talking to Keith about this. This is something that's going to take me a while to explain, everyone. And it's going to take me a few weeks to explain and to get to the bottom of this and to really put all the pieces together. But right now, yeah, there's a lot of things that the media aren't telling you. And this is why you need to support us in independent media, because we're telling the truth here. You know, and we're basing it up in facts, and we're basing it up in evidence. It's not based on whatever the intelligence services are trying to fob us off with. Okay. Yeah, George Galloway got kicked out of the Labour Party for being right on the Iraq War. Go figure, says Barry Boy. As I said, getting kicked out the Labour Party is almost a badge of honour at the moment. It almost is. Right, I'm going to wrap up. I want to say thanks very much to all your support. I'm back in London tomorrow. I'll be cutting and editing this stream. I'll drop the videos over the next few days with regards to what I've done tonight. I'll probably get 4 or 5 videos, I reckon, out of what I've done tonight. What do you reckon? Back in London tomorrow, probably for a week. I'm probably going to be there for a whole week. I want to cover the imperialism on trial, and obviously I will definitely be going that, even if it's just me to buy a ticket and sit in the audience. I will, you know, I'll try and snip my camcorder in, do it, you know, do it bootleg VHS video style to get people heads in front of it. Yeah, I'll try and report on that, because that's going to be, it would be a huge honour to just shake Chris Hedges by his hand. A couple of other updates. First of all, please keep your donations coming. It really is, it's bloody expensive, even though the trains have got cheaper. The trains are a lot cheaper now, I will say that. They're like 40% of what they were a few weeks ago, since Virgin, I think Virgin lost the contract or something like that. I'll have to look into that, it's quite funny. Yeah, it's bloody expensive, so I really appreciate it. I've updated what I got on the website, so if you click through to the website, I've got how much I got from donations over the last 3 months, and that pays for all the expenses with regards to, you know, moving all about, etc., etc. And at the end of, I think, this month, I will be publishing all of the donations, everything, and where it's all gone, how much I've spent on, you know, shirts, which I had to buy, there's shit like that over the last few months. I'm going to make everything transparent. I'm beholden to you. I'm answerable to you. You should know where your money is going, and that's what I'm going to do. Lawrence Taylor, thanks very much. 5 Swiss francs. Appreciate it, Lawrence. Thank you very much, mate. Please keep your donations coming, because I've renewed my passport today. That'll take a few weeks to actually arrive, though. But in a few weeks, who knows? You know, London Euston is it's one train from London Euston to Paris, and these yellow vest protests, they're not going away anytime soon. So Lawrence, yeah, you might be my translator very soon. But yeah, get active, please, with regards to Julian Assange. Get active. We have to take the place of the Fourth Estate. We have got to be him until he is free. Support independent media, everyone, and yeah, make Orwell fiction again. Peace, everyone. Thanks very much for watching. I love you all.